Hello Seawolves and welcome back to the show. And so for the last 2 days I keep forgetting about this because there was just so much exciting stuff going on in the world of sailing, but actually 3 days ago now we hit 20,000 subscribers. So yeah, a little party for the Seawolves, I guess. Super proud, super nice to hit that first milestone in a long journey, I hope. But really cool to know that there's 20,000 of us out there all having fun with this. So I feel really honored. It's really a cool thing to have you all with me, and I'm very proud that since yesterday we now have the first Sea Wolf kind of communal event also organized, which is going to happen in April. I'm working also on a second one, but maybe in a different location, a location that's more easier for a lot of cruisers and sailors kind of to get to all have a meeting or do a little regatta or something like that. So more on that at some point later, but it's really cool to see that we've started a really nice community altogether, I would say. So super proud of that result. And yeah, if you're watching and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure of course to subscribe. But awesome. So shall we do a 20,000 subscribers toast, I guess? Here we go. And I say we make this one a retro toast to one of my favorite moments, in the early days of the Seawolves, one of the early subscriber moments. So let's enjoy some Alex Thompson and some coffee. I think these two always go really well together. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Nice. Good toast, right? Made me think about the good old days, which was only a month and a half ago, but still pretty nice. So another exciting day in the world of sailing. I'll start with the Jules Verne, of course, today. And yeah, very happy to report that Gitana 17, the Edmund de Rothschild, has extended their lead again to about 511 nautical miles right now. And I thought it would be interesting to illustrate my point that I made earlier about just how difficult this record is still going to be, because 500 miles is amazing. It's a little over the lead already that I thought they might probably have, but I did tell you guys before that the IDEX Sport, so the previous record, did have a bit of an off time in this start of the record, and I thought it would be interesting to actually illustrate this in a visual way. because I haven't really done that before. And actually it's quite possible with this tracker to do that really nicely, to show you guys really the challenge that Gitana is about to start with. Because today really is the moment that the challenge for them really starts. They have 2 more days and then it's full on. 2 more days and then any chance of building up that lead much more is gone. I kind of want to show you guys what I mean. So when you look at this map here, you can see these little balls here along the track. And those are 24-hour marks. So every time you see one like that, that means another day has gone by, another 24 hours of racing. And so what you can see, if we look at the yellow track here, so Gitana's current track, we see a certain distance between the balls. That's their 24-hour track. If we look at the previous record, so IDEC Sport here, and we look at their track, we do see that, at various different points, they have like relatively short hops, basically. So we can see that generally the Gitana has been doing really well, right? And we can see a certain distance here, and we can see that for most days, Gitana is doing quite a bit more distance than kind of the distance that the IDEC is doing in 24 hours. But when we look down here, so we see that today, pretty short hop that IDEC is going to do. And tomorrow they had quite some tags and jibes in that particular day, so a hard day. Then another day, so that's that second day that I'm talking about, so 2 more days after today. But then, if we follow the track that IDEC made, look at how wonderfully straight this is, and look how incredibly long these 24-hour stretches are. And like what I told about before, it doesn't let up. Every day that they were in the Southern Ocean, they made incredible distance all the way through. It literally takes them all the way past New Zealand before they have to make even one tack or jibe. I don't know what it was back in those days, but even one, little turn. Before that, it's just one long, amazing dream track around the Antarctic. And after that, we again see very long hauls, one day with a lot of maneuvering here, but even then, very long, large hops. And it really goes all the way past the Cape and really up into the Southern Atlantic before we see some slower days where, like I said, more to the end of the race, there will be some more chances to maybe improve on that record. But like we're seeing in the Vendee Globe now, this is also an area that is just prone to this type of, kind of twisty and turny weather, where it's very hard to really make huge spaces every day. You're going to run into something, right? And so that, I think, really visualizes the challenge really well. So basically, if we look at where IDEC Sport was, they were there on day 10. Now, we're only there on day 8, so that's good. So we're kind of 2 days ahead in this particular space where they are now. So we know that IDEC is still going to be relatively slow until they kind of get through this point here, the day 10 point. Then they're going to have a pretty straight line, but not a huge distance on that day. But after that, they're going to be taking no prisoners, and it's just going to be a killer line for all the way to Cape Horn, basically. So from that moment on, all bets are off, right? And so IDEC is almost at that point. Now they have great wind, right? So they are moving into the Southern Ocean right now along the Helena system, and then going to make it and go full bore into the Atlantic Ocean. So it looks like, if we look at the wind right now, that they're going to have a really good start of the run. No major issues, no major things coming up. This system down below here, of course, is going to come up behind them, but it has wind in the right direction, so no real issues there yet that we can see. So it seems like a good run for them. But yeah, they have literally 48 hours left. That's it, 48 hours, and then IDEC will ramp up to full speed, and it will not let up. And so right now, a good lead, 511 nautical miles. So that is pretty nice. But again, like I said, when they had the 300 nautical mile lead, At 30 knots an hour, that's only about a 10-hour lead, right? So with 500, they have almost a day. You know, 600 would be a little bit over a 24-hour lead. At 500, they're a little bit under, so around like a 20-hour lead or so, which is really nice. But considering this track, it still really isn't a whole lot, right? So there still is this minimum margin for error, and that's the race that Team Gitana is going to have to race. So yeah, for me, it's kind of counting down the days now for 2 more days, looking and waiting to see how much of a lead they'll be able to build up. I think that luckily enough, they will keep building. So IDEC is in a bit of a tough spot historically. We know that they're going to have 2 relatively slow days, but it seems like Gitana is going to have 2 excellent fast days. Right now, they are doing 36 knots over the last 4 hours and 31 over the last 24, and right now they're cruising at 35.7 knots. So they are really cooking, and if they keep on going like this, I think they still have space now to add maybe another 200, maybe even 300 nautical miles to that lead. Now that would be a great you know, starting platform to make the jump into rounding the Atlantic. Would give them about a day and a half or so of head start, and that just might be just enough. It's not a lot of space, but it just might be just enough if they get lucky enough to the Southern Ocean. And I think that for me is really the question with this Jules Verne. Is it's not just being a great sailor, but there's just no way to beat this record without a good amount of luck, right? Without that, you just can't do it. So it'll be very exciting to see how this will develop. But hope that made it a bit more visual for those of you who you know, like to see things kind of explained that way. Okay, so then on to the America's Cup. So 4th race, we're still waiting for that, but some additional developments, looking a little bit more into the 3rd race yesterday, you know, and with Ineos, 3rd and 4th race, I should say. And so with Ineos now very much you know, in the lead with 4 wins, so incredibly well done there. And with Luna Rossa on 2 wins and American Magic 0 wins, so they really struggling at this moment. And of course they had the capsize yesterday. Now in retrospect, it seemed that they had a problem, is now confirmed, kind of with the backstay not being released, which led to the fact that they could not depower the mainsail when they needed to in a very strong, there was a very strong gust that actually pulled them over, but normally they would have just, you know, let the mainsail go a little bit and that way kind of depower the situation and would have regained control. That for whatever reason wasn't possible, and so that's kind of their own culpability in the situation, let's say. At the same time, we saw in the press conference the Americans a little bit also trying to shift some of the blame for the situation to the race control, saying that the AC.75s have very narrow margins within to sail safely, right? And because they just don't do wind speeds that are, you know, over 18, 19 knots, and the kind of, I think, you know, 6 to 18 knots or so is kind of the boundary. And beyond that, they just simply do not go, because it's just too dangerous, just doesn't work. And I guess we now also see that very gusty situations where you sometimes just have gusts that go over those wind speeds can really wreck the entire race. So a very powerful beast, the AC.75, but it's also showing to be a very feckle, you know, precious beast in some situations, not really being able to handle a lot of unexpected parameters, let's say. And so it was interesting to see that they also seem to a little bit put some blame towards the race organization there in race 3 by saying that, you know, maybe they should have just not allowed the race to go through, waited for the wind to go down a little bit, and there was a little bit of this vibe going on there. So kind of interesting, you know, inside baseball, let's say, for those of you who are interested in that. But other than that, we have to wait and see what happens. I think that they're fully fully intending to continue racing. So we'll wait for the next race and then we'll see what will happen. Then let's get to the Vendee Globe, shall we? Now the sprint for the finish is definitely on, and it's very cool to see that we're seeing some regular lead changes now, both for first and second place, but also third and fourth, fifth and sixth. It's just all moving right now, which personally I find very, very nice to see. But it means we have a real race on our hands. And so yeah, over the last 2 days we said, well, maybe Boris is going to go in front. We had of course Lewis Burton kind of take over the #1 position. Right now we see that all of that in the last 3 hours or so has shifted again, with Charlie Dalin on a Pivia now back in charge again, and Lewis Burton, because he went quite a bit more kind of to the west, we see that he lost some miles towards the finish again, and so kind of put Charlie Dalin back in the lead. Also, if we look at their angles, we see that Pivia aimed quite a bit higher. I would say probably 4, maybe even more, like 5 degrees higher pointing. And so it's a big ocean, but you know what they say in sailing, if you're off by a few degrees, you may be off by a continent by the time you get to the other side of the ocean. And so yeah, it matters, right? So if Pivia is able to take a much shorter track through all this, then he's definitely going to regain a lot of advantage there. The weather prediction itself seems pretty good. So personally, I don't really know the motivation behind what Lewis's reason is for going that much further to the west, because I don't necessarily think that's necessary. I would be personally going closer to the track that Pivia is also taking. You can also see the back group kind of predicted to stay a lot more to the east. That would be my my option also, I think, but they all have their reasons for it, of course. But yeah, it seems that the weather, at least, so the trades that they have right now, just super good for the next 2-3 days. And then, as you can see, we have a bit of a system above here. But yeah, lower winds, but turning in the right direction for them, so shouldn't really halt them too long. And of course here the predictions end here, so it's not that they don't continue sailing, but then we're 4 or 5 days ahead, so who knows what will happen then.
Hi everyone, we found some wind and it's bouncy. We're sailing upwind fast. It's grey, super grey sky, gusty, rainy, big swell. I've never seen that in the doldrums. I mean in the trade winds, huge waves. Anyway, we're sailing fast upwind over these waves, so it's obviously super uncomfortable. But much happier than, much better than no wind. So praying, I don't want to praise the day before the evening, but praying this wind carries us all the way to the blue sky. Once we found the blue sky, that's where the trade winds, proper trade wind regime, undisturbed by the ITC, was clear, usually clear, relatively clear sky. Yeah, and it's already clearing up slowly. On the set picture there's still a big mess. Huge lumps of clouds still on the set picture, but yeah, fingers crossed.
But yeah, like I said yesterday, we just have a perfect sailing gallery here for all the leaders. More or less everybody. I think that Jean now, yeah, 3.4 knots, so he's still in it. And Benjamin Dutroux also still in it, although he is seemingly speeding up. If you look at his latest numbers, same for Giancarlo Patotte, he seems also that he's speeding up right now. So it seems that with Jean being the last one, they're almost all out of the doldrums now and can continue really racing. And yeah, it's really hard to predict. Not much to say for who's going to come out of this the winner, other than I think the most important thing here, what we also talked about yesterday, is the position of Jean, especially if you're interested in that like me, you know, compared to the rest of the field. And so right now he's at 240 nautical miles behind Apivia, which is not a lot, right? It seems that, like I said, we have good beating conditions here for them. So we see that, well, Lewis Burton going a little bit more down to get a bit more speed, but they're doing 15, 14 knots or so. And I guess that is the reason why they are all opting to go a little bit more west, because you know, they can have a bit more speed on angles like this, whilst if they go on a more beating range, they just lose a lot of speed. It will be interesting to see what type of angle Jean will be choosing, because the one thing that has seemingly put him in front of everybody, you know, as mainly in the beginning, well, all the way, you know, to kind of the middle of the race, is to always kind of adhere to really taking the shortest route, to taking the shortest track. And yeah, obviously we're in a situation again now where we see all the foilers basically opting to take a little bit of a longer track, because it just gives them more speed, and so they have to weigh that balance between, you know, is it worth the extra speed if it comes with a few extra miles, or when is the turnover point where you make the distance, the extra distance so long that the speed doesn't make up for it anymore. And so whatever math they're using, they find, of course, the balance there, and I think that this is best. But we saw previously in the race that several times Jean was able to make gigantic gains in situations like that, and, you know, suddenly come out ahead of all the foilers. You know, remember back in the beginning of the race at Point Finisterre, for example. So I'm very curious to see how he will handle this. Of course, as Lewis and Apivia go a bit more higher into the system, the winds are going to become more favorable to them. So the longer they're in this, the higher they get in this, the less will be the advantage that Jean can make. But still, I'm very interested to see what he will do once he really gets the wind. So that's it kind of for the head of the fleet. So then we see Maxime Charal still sailing very nicely, good speed, with right behind him Armel Tripon now. And we see that Armel, I think, again gained some miles both on Maxime and of course on the group of leaders.
Voilà. Trouvez-moi un moyen de locomotion aussi rapide, aussi lent aussi, et aussi inconfortable, et avec un tel paysage qui défile pour se remplir les mirettes. Voilà, le gagnant a le droit de naviguer à bord de l'Occitane au retour.
Let's see what their distance is now. Yeah, so Armel is 850 nautical miles away from the leader, so gained about 100 miles there, which is nice to see. So yeah, they are definitely getting closer. Let's see how the doldrums are predicted to go. Oh, that's interesting. So there is a bit of a, as you can see, there is a bit of a window opening up for them, which might make it a lot easier, a lot faster for them to pass through. If that happens, of course, then they get, if that happens that way, they might just get in striking distance of this kind of aft group before the finish, right? So this is a predicted picture 2 days from now. So this is the evening of Wednesday, what you're looking at right now, beginning of Thursday. And if we look at this picture, the leaders with this particular distance, little chance that Armel is still going to get there. But with still, you know, more or less two big, you know, system changes, let's say, they go from this system that they're in now, they have to go through here and then move up kind of, you know, into the northern Atlantic system, and then traverse that with probably one more big obstacle before they get into the Bay of Biscay. So so it's kind of three systems that they still move, the one they're in right now. Then they have to go through another one and then through another one with kind of switches between those weather systems. So it's two, or depending on how you look at it, three major atmospheric changes, major system changes still before that. And every change comes with a bit of a challenge. You know, wind suddenly from a different direction, certain low pressure, certain high pressure, some doldrum-like situations to get through. So 3 chances still left to really slow down the leaders, and this is like we can literally see the finish now, right? We don't have to zoom out that far anymore to literally see the finish there. And yeah, if we say that that Armel and Maxime, so both could get here when we still have this much distance to go, the leaders probably not. They're probably just beyond the reach. But I would say the rest of the group, that might still be possible. With Armel continuing his outpacing thing that he's been doing, might just give him a window to, you know, if he would beat this entire secondary group, 5th position at max, which is beyond what I expected. Like 3 days ago I would have said like, nah, he's never gonna get close enough again. But when I see this, and we're talking about, you know, 500, 600 miles behind at this point already, it seems doable. It seems doable. Might completely not happen, but especially with this window in the prediction giving him maybe quite a bit more favorable doldrums passage, that might just make the difference between he's never ever going to catch up with that second little head group again, or it might just be feasible. So, you know, maybe an interesting development there. Then let's hop down a little bit more. So we have Clarice there and Roman Athanasio. Now Clarice, I have to of course go back to the moment now. So Clarice fell back a little bit more compared to Armel, seems like, and Roman Athanasio more or less at the same speeds. They're both just not really moving super fast. Clarice is doing 7 nautical miles now, and I think that Clarice also had, I don't know exactly what, but I think I saw that there was some kind of problem and she actually had to jump into the mast and you know, try to fix something. So I'll look that up tomorrow, but I think that there's something also going on there other than just the weather that is making her a little bit slow right now. Then, like I said, Roman Athanasio just sailing normally as he has before, and then we get to you know, kind of the tough situation that that is still going on after yesterday, where we have kind of everybody else who's like kind of a little bit more behind, from Charal all the way to Kojiro Shirishi. They're all in this giant just weather chaos area, and yeah, we can see that Charal opted to, well, basically all of them have opted to steer more away from the easterly course and take a course that's a bit more closer to the coast, a bit more land inwards. I think because all this very strong weather, just so chaotic and constantly shifting, that they're now opting to just stay a bit closer to the coast, maybe sacrifice a little bit of wind speed, but it makes it a little bit more safer, and at least they can, you know, make some progress every day and just get past this whole area, you know, kind of around the altitude of South America there, to get more towards the altitude of sort of middle Brazil, where generally they can get into the trades and actually start to make some real progress. And so we see Charal, one of the first now to kind of get out of this situation. So he has a little bit more beating to go, but I think pretty soon he's going to tack, and then basically a little later he'll make another tack, and then he'll actually be in the trades, and he'll be able to start making his way up also. And you know, looking at his chances, I would say that if we look at the race now, again, a week ago I would have said Charal's probably not going to be able to make it back again. But since everybody here has also been so delayed, it looks like Charal might still have a chance here to you know, get to Roman, and maybe even get to, based on, you know, what exactly the problem is with Clarice, maybe also get to Clarice if whatever her problem exactly is persists, then that might still also be possible. So some new motivations may be opening up over the last 24 hours or so for Charal also in that sense, which is kind of cool, right? That makes the race again a little bit more interesting. Same for Anna Bozaris and Alan Rora, who are both, you know, sailing nice, hard sailing, getting through this storm again. Really curious how Alan is doing. Haven't really got an update on that But of course, he is still sailing with a problematic keel that he braced, but he still can't cant it, much like Isabel Joschke. So yeah, I hope he gets through all this rough weather well. And then behind we see Pip Hare. So now she's finally more in the clear, went through this storm and kind of doing sailing, you know, again, okay now, 14.4 knots in the right direction. So I reckon she's very happy right now. Then behind there we have Stefano Derijon, we have Dida Costa and Kojiro Shirishi, like I said. So they've had relatively good winds, and because the really strong stuff shifted a bit more to the west, it seems like they are just going to be able to sail through quite nicely. So I don't think they're going to take this line. I think they'll go more like, you know, where Pip is now. They more steer towards the northern direction, I think. But yeah, no real extreme weather for them, at least for the next 2 days. So that's nice, and they should have good wind to make their way upwards and kind of snake through to the more stable trade winds there. So that's nice. And then we have Manuel Cosin now passing the Falkland Islands, and Miranda Marin and Clement Gerard both passed the Cape safely, making their way to the Falkland Islands and all the way in the end. We have Alexa Marin, and we have, of course, Ari Heusela now last in the race, but having a great time. And he did another really cool video update also today. So let's hop on board Stark Imoca, as he says it so nicely, with Ari Heusela for a sec.
Hi all, welcome back on board Stark Imoca during Vendee Globe. It's now Sunday evening, 17th. Weather chart here, it looks much better. It's not so red than it used to be yesterday. I've had like 3 to 4 rough days behind, and now next 2 to 3 days should be winds less than 30 knots, which is good news. It's much nicer to live on board with that kind of winds. It's much more relaxed, and anyway 30 knots of wind is way enough to make good progress, and some hair rising moments also. And outside it looks like this for a long time. You can see nice sunset today. So happy, super happy sailor to see the blue skies and sun, which warms up also quite nicely. See what are temperatures now, +10, and it has been quite cold, and it's gonna get much colder in next days. Looks now like that I might reach Cape Horn already on Saturday, on Finnish time, Saturday afternoon or late evening. Let's keep fingers crossed that that happens, so that it's only 6 days to go then. Okay, stay tuned and have a nice week. See you soon.
Nice to see. It really feels like Ari is like one of the most relaxed, you know, guys in sailing you could possibly have on board. Just very calmly, you know, looking at the situation. It's nice to see him at work. And even though he's in last position, I mean, you know, looks like an amazing sailor, and he's just having a good time, you know, working on, you know, getting this race done. And it feels very much like both of them also are just going to finish. And yeah, so really a good outlook for the entire race in that sense. So good news on all fronts as far as that goes. And that's my analysis of the race today. So some things about yesterday. The fact that, of course, we are working very hard now on organizing this beautiful Sea Wolves meets Volvo 65 childhood event on the 10th of 11th of April. Now, because we had double, and actually there's so many people on the waiting list for it now, that we have kind of triple or almost quadruple the amount of people who want to join the offshore. And we also filled the first two, full groups for the coastal workshops. So yeah, we are now kind of rethinking the days with childhood, because we kind of planned on doing one offshore moment instead of two. So we're kind of looking at the timetable, moving everything a little bit around and seeing how we can make it feasible for the crew, because the offshore is organized in such a way that for the sailors on board, it's just too short to really get into a rhythm for them sailing wise, but it's so long that we do need to take some watches and this type of stuff on board. So we're already working out kind of the schedule for all you guys that you will then just snugly be able to fit into and find your groove. So we're hard at work working on all the details now that we know that there's such great interest from you guys. So I hope to give a more a harder update on that later. And of course, if you signed up, we have your email addresses, so expect a personalized message somewhere in the next 48 hours, I guess, with some updates and details on the different things that we're thinking about doing and how to arrange different things, and also include some possible hotel options and different things if you need that. So but really looking forward to the event. And so there are still some spots for the the two offshores are now closed, so they're completely filled, and there are also quite a number of people on the waiting list already. You can still add yourself to the waiting list though, because since this went so well, I already talked to the team, and there will be several other options throughout the year, and actually also going into the actual ocean race, where there are certain deliveries and different things going to happen, which they would be happy to partner also with Seawolves on. So good reasons to put yourself on the waiting list. I don't know if we're going to add a third one or even a fourth one. We might, but it also has to be kind of feasible, and we do have to be careful not to get too many people together with the corona situation and all these different things. So trying to find our way through it, but you can still put yourself on the waiting list. On the other hand, the amazing coastal workshop, which is not to be underestimated, that's a hard sail, right? I had a good talk with the team, and sailing an Ocean 75 is a hard sail. It's not a little, a pleasure cruise, depending of course on the weather, but it's hard work, right? And 2.5 hours on a just world-class, winning ocean boat is also really, really cool. So don't underestimate that. And there are still some places for those clinics available. So if you're interested, make sure to navigate to seawolvestv.com. Go to the there's a button in the menu with the Volvo 65 experience in clinics, and there on the bottom of the page you have the three options where the offshore is now no longer bookable, so you just have to send an email if you want to put yourself on the waiting list. The other ones you can still just book on the website. So those are the important details there. Yes, and that's it for the update today. So Seawolves, thank you all again for watching this 20,000 subscriber show. If you're not subscribed yet, you know what to do. Hit that like button and hit also the bell to make sure that you get the updates whenever we post them. Please give the video a thumbs up and put a comment below with your questions and comments. It really helps us, with the almighty YouTube algorithms. And I'm looking forward to see you all again tomorrow with a hopefully delicious cup of coffee in a beautiful, maybe Seawolf mug. Ciao, have a nice day.